Who here loves assigned seats? Yeah, me neither. But on the first day of 7th grade, I was walking to class. And the second I stepped in front of that doorway, guess what I saw? Yeah, assigned seating. And my name was the first one on that board. Come on! After 2 years of nasty COVID and virtual school, that's the freedom middle school offers? You've got to be kidding me. Talk about getting ripped off. But to make myself feel just a bit better, I walked into that classroom and did the next best thing one could do. I initiated my procrastination. I started strolling around the room trying to find my seat. But as the saying goes, all good things come to an end. Because after not going around the room once, not twice, but 20 times, I finally stopped. Let's just say the teacher gave me a stare I'll probably remember for the rest of my life. No, seriously, if I went for 21, I don't think I'd be standing here. I still remember, after seeing the look on her face, I scurried back to my desk. But as I approached my chair, 2 boys stared at me in unison. Their eyes were literally glued to me as they scanned each and every little detail from bottom to top. And as I was about to grab the handle on the chair, he shouts, "Hey, you must be smart." Hey, okay, not so bad for the first day of 7th grade, I thought to myself. And just when I was about to raise my head and respond, he shouts, "You've got to be Indian." But then the guy right next to him says, "No, I think you've got to be Pakistani." I was confused. I was competing in who's the next Indian already? But the problem here was I wasn't Indian, nor was I Pakistani. Oh, so now I got y'all thinking. All these years I knew growing up that I was Bangladeshi, but now someone comes up to me and declares that I'm Indian? And the truth is, this wouldn't be the first time something like this would happen, and nor would this affect me alone. Because according to the UN, nearly 20% of the global population faces discrimination on grounds of ethnicity, color, or language. Such discrimination can be caused by oversimplifying cultures, which inherently slows down the progress and inclusivity of our society. To better understand this issue, we'll first put our glasses on to analyze the various perspectives of the problem. Next, we're going to get markers out to highlight the various effects of the issue, before lastly, we get some paper, scissors, and glue to cut out and build a solution that helps re-illuminate the atmosphere. To better understand the problem, we need to first examine the roots of the issue, which involves the act of oversimplification. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What is oversimplification? According to Cambridge Dictionary, oversimplification translates to the action of describing or explaining something in such a simple manner that it is no longer correct. So for you math or physics nerds here, no, this isn't the same thing as simplifying your answers. They're 2 different things. Trust me, I've tried simplifying my way through a few things, and let's just say my GPA can confirm they weren't the same thing. But as the definition implies, the meaning introduces some negative effects that make it detrimental. These negative effects are highlighted when it comes to the domain of race and culture. A study conducted by the University of Tennessee examined the effects of racial and cultural misidentification, explaining how participants experienced intrapersonal ramifications as a result of being misidentified. Participants recalled times when their culture was misidentified, making them feel confused, excluded, or not enough. Punjabi Canadian author Ritu Bhasin explains a similar narrative, saying how she would be bullied based on the cultural traditions she followed, prompting her to reject her cultural heritage. She also explains how she would feel confused and excluded throughout what she branded her ethnic identity crisis. But it doesn't just end there, because Dr. Sofia Rodriguez, an associate professor in sociology and educational policy studies at NYU, explains how a large number of Black and Latinx middle and high school youth don't feel a sense of belonging in school. This goes to show the chain effect of oversimplification. When we oversimplify cultures, we instigate confusion, and we instigate exclusion, which fosters assimilation. That, in turn, fosters assimilation and shrinks the cultural diversity of our society. Additionally, we see how the negative effects of oversimplification aren't just a limited perspective. Basine and I aren't the only ones affected by the so-called ethnic identity crisis, but it's something that affects individuals of all minority races and minority cultures. However, to understand the real effect of oversimplification, we need to examine it from a more widespread level. As established, more people feel confused and excluded. More and more people undergo the ethnic identity crisis noted by Basine. But as a citizen in society, don't you agree that we have a moral obligation to ensure that each and every individual feels safe? That each and every individual feels a sense of belonging? That each and every individual feels valued? Is it right that we make fun of other people's cultures while they suffer from confusion, exclusion, and question their identity for no good reason? Is it right to make fun of other people's cultures in an attempt to popularize yourselves? Because in that case, you aren't living a life with popularity. You're living a life with infamy. And then we haven't even touched on mass assimilation. When we see mass assimilation, we shrink the cultural diversity of our society. And when we shrink the cultural diversity of our society, we blanket the unique and valuable perspectives each and every individual brings to that society. And when we blanket the unique and valuable perspectives each and every individual brings to a society, well, it leads to the demise of society since we all think the same. So I ask again, is it worth oversimplifying cultures? Do we realize what we are costing ourselves and what we are costing the future generations if we let this issue perpetuate? Is it really worth it? So it begs the question, what can we do to solve this? Actually, let me rephrase that. The question should be, what can I do to solve this? Because when we look at it through the lens of we think it's an average effort where someone else can help solve the problem. But when we look at it through the lens of I, it allows us to individually and uniquely help solve the issue. So ask yourselves, what can I do? Well, out of the many effective solutions out there, one in which all of us can take part in is utilizing inclusive language. When we utilize inclusive language, we let the person we're trying to learn about speak for themselves instead of declaring our assumptions. So, how do you do it? I'll walk you through it. Step one is to smile. When we smile, we automatically foster an environment where everyone feels safe, which is a critical component in fostering a sense of belonging. Trust me, this is really important. Once you have step one down, you're ready to move on to step two, which is prepare your question. Change your words to be more open. Instead of saying, you are from, say, where are you from? That way the person you're trying to learn about can speak for themselves and can proudly hold on to their cultural heritage. And that's it. How hard was that? You used inclusive language. Kimberly Hewitt, Vice President of Institutional Equality at Duke University, explains how inclusive language utilizes words and phrases that treat everyone equally and foster a sense of belonging. Inclusive language is such an easy solution to such a widespread issue. However, all of us are an individual piece to the puzzle, and we need to ensure that we do our individual part. That way, we can unify to make the solution as effective as possible. As for the two boys, well, funny story is, we've become wonderful friends. But for them, though, that was the first time they've ever met a Bangladeshi person, let alone hear the word Bangladeshi. And for many of you in the audience could possibly relate. However, that's completely fine. If there's anything I want you to take away from this speech, it's not necessarily to feel bad about not knowing something, but it's to embrace cultural diversity, preservation, and literacy. That way, we can build our unique identities. When we fail to recognize this uniqueness, though, we fail to appreciate what each individual brings to the table. However, when we utilize inclusive language, we do our due diligence as a community member, ensuring each and every individual feels a sense of belonging and that they are valued. We embrace various perspectives that allow us to think and prosper as a society. We save ourselves and future generations from demise, all for just a few words. After all, a simple fix does really help re-illuminate the atmosphere. Oh, the bell's about to ring. I gotta go sit in my assigned seat. But I will see you later.